it's Doris with all of the books, and I have a severe case of the summer lazies. Yes, I do. I filmed a Friday Reads on Friday. I know. Half of it was a May wrap up. But anyway, but then I was just too lazy to post it. And then I was too lazy to post it on Saturday. And then I finally rewatched it on Sunday and thought, well, that's not my best work. Maybe I should refilm it. That never happened. Now it's Monday. I still don't feel like refilming. But maybe I feel like posting. Maybe. So then I had this brilliant idea. Let's just do a currently reading check-in. And maybe that would motivate me to finish a few of these today, because I could if I was motivated. And yeah, so I'm going to just ever so briefly touch on what I'm currently reading, and then mush that other video on the end. I mean, it's fine. It's just, I was feeling a little unfocused and rusty about filming wrap-ups, and distracted, and just a little fluffy around the edges, you know? But anyway, I'm just gonna tell you what I'm reading now, real quick like, and tack that on the end, and move on with my life. Okay, let's do this. So, I am almost done with Zora Neale Hurston's Mules and Men. This is her nonfiction piece in this compilation, and I have finished the colloquial language from North Florida section, and am moving on to Voodoo in New Orleans. Yeah. Sean's gonna be happy about this. I have finished the first 14 pages of Daughters of Passion, so that Sean and I can chat about it. This one is set in the same time frame as Milkman, so I think that'll be a good pairing to think about that mentally. So yes, I am buddy reading this with Heidi, The Thousand Autumns of Jacob de Zoet, and this is for Mel and Eve's Alexandria, the Through the Ages bingo. Totally loving it. The humor in this is like stuck at middle school boy, and I'm here for it. I totally am. Heidi's gonna be glad to know that I'm almost there. I'm almost there. Yeah. Not even close. This is more like barely started. I'm buddy reading The Last Chronicles of Barset by Anthony Trollope. Buddy reading this with Petra and Kate Howe, and I am so behind on this. Ooh. And I noticed that Ange was picking up Madam Will You Talk by Mary Stewart, and I read all the Mary Stewarts with lots of lovely ladies, and they read this before I joined the group, so I was tickled to get a buddy for this one. So I haven't started it yet though, Ange. We're being casual with this one. I'm also supposed to be reading Eggshell Skull by Bree Lee for my next Reading Women Month bingo prompt. This one I've talked about multiple times. Jacqueline recommended it to me for Aussie April, and we think it'll fill the mental health prompt. So I'm going for it soon. But I feel like I should prioritize the buddy reads that I'm late on. And then I also started reading The Far Field by Madhuri Vijay this past week, and I have not fallen behind on this one really. I have maybe 50 pages left. This is I believe southern India, and so very good, you guys. I'll talk about it more in a wrap up soon, I promise. But if you want to know more right now, Jacqueline from 6 Minutes for Me, and Robert from Barter Hordes, and Kendra Winchester are all reading it with me and are equally glowing about it. So check their channels as well. So yeah, this one I think I have like 50 pages left, This one maybe 50 pages left. This one doesn't even have 50 pages to begin with. And this one approaching 50 pages. So I could finish these for today. So you guys tell me to get it in gear, Doris, okay? All right, so stay tuned for, Friday reads. Chat with you soon. Hey, it's Doris with All the Books, and I have been a video making slacker since school let out. So I think there are 4 books here that I don't remember having talked about in a wrap-up format yet from May, and 4 that I have finished in June. So this is like a Friday read / wrap-up thing. Let's see what I can remember. Showa, 1944 to 1953, A History of Japan by Shigeru Mizuki. This is the 3rd installment in this series. Really enjoying it. So it is a historical timeline of Japan paired with a memoir of the author, a cartoonist here. So this volume worked really especially well in this format because it's after the war with Japan struggling to get back on its feet, the war crimes trials, all of that, paired with the author who is also struggling to get back on his feet. He's come out of the army and trying to find his life's purpose, his life's work, a job, food for his plate. So yeah, it really pairs well, just the reflection back and forth between the two. This also has quite a bit of pop culture from Japan during the time period, and it's just fascinating. And one thing specifically from that I wanted to mention, Bookish had asked if this deals with Japanese war crimes, and I had said it does. They're just not dealt with in depth. So one example in here, and she's really effective, but during that pop culture bit, there's like a Japanese serial killer who he's been luring women who, and again, it talks about the struggle with the women finding work and food and sustenance as well. But how he had lured like 10 women and raped them and killed them in a year's time span. And he was kind of not idolized, but he was very popular as a pop culture figure in the time period, with interviews and such, the way that is even now. But they asked him why he did it, and he said, I don't know. I guess, being in the war taught me to be that way. So, talking about the Japanese war crimes against women during the war. So, very interesting. Sean and I read The Shielding of Mrs. Forbes by Ellen Bennett together. I found this just naughty and delightful and laughed quite a bit. His wordplay and then the crazy things at the end. Sean and I have a dual review of this one, a chat back and forth as we do, and we did not agree. But Sean has gotten a couple comments that has caused him to think maybe he might finish it after all. So we'll see. I also finished The Illumination of Ursula Flight by Anna Marie Crowhurst. I read this as a buddy read with Britta Bowler, and we both found it absolutely delightful. Many thanks to Mel for the recommendations. It starts out with a girl in 17th century England, and very imaginative and well-educated girl, Ursula Flight. And it reminded me just in that sense of Margaret the First, just this imaginative girl who grows up to be a writer, and yes, a little bit of risque action in her adult timeline. So just that story reminded me of it. This also reminds me of a lot of the Victorian literature focused around girls and women and the dynamics among them in society and at home, and just really cozy in that respect. However, this book whitewashes none of it at all. So just think of those Victorian novels if they had dealt with life in a real way, you know. A girl getting her first period, sex, scandal, all of the above. So really, really enjoyed it. It was a fresh take on that storyline, and really what we loved most, I think, was watching the character development of Ursula, watching her, how life just kind of tamped her down, and then how she rediscovers herself and breaks free. And yes, really enjoyable read. And then I also read The Girl He Used to Know by Tracy Garvis Graves. This was an insta buy because I just kept seeing it online and I thought the cover was gorgeous. This was a straight up romance, which is fine, but I just for some reason wasn't expecting that. It was also another romance of a woman on the autism spectrum, which I also wasn't expecting. So that was really neat, considering I just read The Bride Test and The Kiss Quotient, which were also romances with main characters on the autism spectrum. So it was different. It was really interesting to think between those two, because these are very empowered characters, and those books are written by an own voices author. This one is a character whose mother has really isolated her and protected her whole life, and she really struggles out in the real world a lot. So you see how that works through her life, and the problems it causes her, and how she overcomes in the end. This one was not an own voices author. I don't believe it's, she talks about doing the research for this one. So, and also this one deals with 9/11, and yes, very graphic. I kind of steer away from those. So when this came up in the story, it was very impactful and hard to read. But yes. That being said, I do think I preferred Kiss Quotient and The Bride Test. But this one, it was just more melancholy, and I don't know. It's very interesting to read them together, I will say that. And then in June so far, I have finished Darkfire by C.J. Sansom. This is the second in the Shard Lake series. Really enjoyable. I read this with Heidi, and who else read this with us? My mind is lost. Anyway, not much to report in about this. It's the second in a series, but this one was pretty gruesome, actually. I will say that. Enjoyed it though, definitely. Oh, I'm gonna have to look. I will link my buddy readers below. Anyway, The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart by Holly Ringland. This, I finally finished it for Aussie April in June, but that's okay. Really loved this story, and I felt like it was an extremely timely read. This deals with abuse in a marriage, a controlling husband. It's set in Australia, and it focuses on native flowers. Really loved reading about that. So you follow the daughter, Alice Hart. She starts out with her family unit intact, mom, dad, her, and you just follow it through. I won't spoil it for you, but I will say it was very timely because of things going on BookTube the week that I read it and finished it, and it connected with me in that women being supportive of other women, and society at large being quick to jump on women for not sounding the alarm when it happens. And this just really effectively shows the thought processes and fears and societal issues that go into that hesitancy to talk about it when it happens. We're all people, and we have to grow sometimes first before we can talk. So yes, really good book. Thanks for recommending it, Jacqueline. I really enjoyed it. And I finally finished Witchwood by Tahira Maffi. I say finally. I meant to read this right after I finished Nevermore, but I didn't get to it until now, and I found it really delightful. It was a little slow at first, but got into it and thoroughly enjoyed it. I like this one a lot more than the first one, actually. The first one I really liked the premise of, but it was kind of choppy the way they kept going through the different lands and everything. This one, it stayed in one location and had better character development, I felt like, with the little friend group, and I just found it delightful. So and this one also had a nice gruesome touch that I appreciated. And then last, I finished The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton. This was very entertaining. I listened to this on audiobook on the way to Florida, and it kept me completely mesmerized, completely immersed in the storyline as I was driving. So that was really good, exactly what I needed. I did wonder, though, as I was listening to it, if I would have been quite as involved if I was reading it. I wondered if it would have been a little bit more slow-paced and not as easy to, keep picking up. I don't know. It's just a thought I had. This is set in, it's Dutch, right? Amsterdam, in 1686. A girl, she's 16, is given in marriage by her family to an older man, and he's not quite what she expected. I mean, she's 16. She didn't know what to expect. She hadn't really even met him before. He just came to her house and married her. But yeah, interesting story. The ending left me kind of, So it didn't really connect with me thematically, nor as an entertaining, satisfying ending. So on neither front did it satisfy. The magical realism was left kind of unresolved and underdeveloped. And I did hear from a couple of people, thank you, Dee Dee, that I should go back and read the first chapter and make the connection to what is happening in that cryptic first section. And I did, and that was interesting, but still, it was rather meh. So there you go. And now I'm going to remember who that other buddy reader was. Hold on. I'm a dingbat. It was the Kates. So Kate Howe and Kate from Novel Nomad. So delightful pair. Anyway, I'm not going to link anybody now because I'm just going to say them here. Thanks for watching, and I will be back soon. Bye.